Let's talk about bartering in a post-collapse scenario. Bartering is an exchange of goods or services for other goods or services without using money. If a long-term SHTF scenario happens, like if it's post-apocalypse or post-World War III, bartering is something that is definitely going to be common when your paper money has no value. The ideal situation is that you're so prepared that you will never need to trade with anyone. But I think eventually, on a long enough timeline, even the most prepared person will need something they don't have. That's where trade and bartering comes in. Bartering usually has a negative stigma around it because people assume that everyone is out to rob you. They think that while they're doing an exchange, someone's going to pull out a weapon and try to take your stuff. That's very possible, so you need to be extra careful about who you are bartering with. Some people are a really good judge of character and some people are not, so just keep that in mind. If you're in a situation where you need to barter with a stranger, do the exchange away from the place where you stay at so they don't end up coming back and raiding your spot. Another thing you need to do is, if at all possible, don't barter alone. Have at least one armed person with you that's on your side when you're doing the exchange so that they can act as a deterrent to the person you're bartering with. And of course, if the other person tries to pull something, that person can take action for you. And ideally, the person you select as the backup should be skilled with their weapon. Whether it's a long-range weapon or a close-range weapon, select someone who has a bit of experience. For the actual deal, you will need someone who has good negotiation skills and is aware of the value of certain items. So whoever in your group is good at that, get them to negotiate the deal. When it comes to trading your ammo, there's that risk where the ammo could be used against you if you are trading with strangers. So my recommendation is don't trade your ammo unless it's someone who you know and trust. Bartering should only be done with strangers if you really need something. So if someone in your family has a serious infection and needs antibiotics, you'll probably trade almost anything you have for those antibiotics. Every bartering situation doesn't have to be a movie showdown. Some situations may be very normal and even friendly. I know about two neighbors who used to live in a remote area in Alaska, where one of them baked cookies and the other person carved things like wooden spoons in return for them. So it may just be something that you really like or are missing a lot from your previous life. There are a ton of real-world examples like that in rural or remote areas where bartering is a normal part of life. Now, bartering doesn't have to be only items. You could barter services as well. For example, if you're medically trained and someone is injured or sick, they may offer you certain items in exchange so you can treat them. That sounds bad, but you will have to act a certain way and do certain things to make sure you and your family survive. Another example is, say someone has a solar generator and you don't. Maybe you haven't had electricity for months and you want to charge your iPad that has a bunch of downloaded movies on it and you want to watch them. You may trade a pound of flour for them to charge your device for an hour. If it's not the iPad, maybe you have a USB rechargeable lantern, flashlight, or radio that you want charged. Or maybe you have your own power bank and you want them to charge it for you so you could go back and charge all your different devices with it. Or you're down to your last pair of shoes and they're damaged, but you don't know how to repair it. You may need to barter with someone who's good at shoe repairs. I could go on and on because there's so many possibilities, but basically the skilled and prepared person will usually do very well for themselves and have more opportunities as compared to the average person. Overall, I think you need to be prepared as possible, learn as many skills as possible, plan for all possible situations, and be smart when bartering. If you have some more opinions or insights on bartering, let me know in the comments.